Going on, guys? Mike here. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through the Arms Warrior PvP as of patch 5.0.5. Hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. For your talents, this is what it looks like. Double time, charge twice in a row. Each charge has a 20-second cooldown. I see a lot of people mixing and matching here. It's nice to have a 12-second charge, and it's also good to have a stun with your charge. I prefer to be able to charge twice. For example, if you are rooted or slowed or anything of that sort, it's a good way for you to be able to get back to your target multiple times, especially when fighting those pesky mages. If you jump the gun on them and get your first charge off and they decide to be stupid and blink, you got a second charge, in which case you can stun them because more often than not, they're not going to have a trinket. If, say for example, you're fighting a human, or if you're dueling an undead mage, all they can do to get out of stuns is blink. So that's that. Second wind is pretty much the best talent. I'm not even going to bother going over the other two. Just take second wind. For the 45 talent, I chose Piercing Howl, especially because of ranged classes. When patch 5.1 comes out, I may switch over to Disrupting Shout, which is an AoE silence. They're nerfing a glyph, which I'll show you in just a moment, that is very helpful for us. They're nerfing it, so Disrupting Shout will probably come in handy the next patch. Moving down to number 60, Shockwave. I picked this because it's a nice interrupt. It does a little bit of damage. It keeps them in place for 4 seconds. It's great. I do see some people going into Dragon Roar. It's good for burst, and it apparently knocks them down, but I find that it's been bugged, so I don't even bother messing with it. I think I have enough burst with everything else that I can just do without Dragon Roar. Blade Storm, it's a nice talent because it gets you out of stuff and you can't be immobilized or slowed or anything like that. But the 1.5 minute cooldown is just setting me apart. So I'd go with Shockwave or Dragon Roar. For the 75 talents, I picked Mass Spell Reflection. This is good against obviously casters. You could also go with Safeguard. So if, for example, a Frost Mage Novas you or Pet Freezes you in place, you can target a friendly player, and basically this replaces Intervene, so you intervene them, and it breaks you out of that CC. And because it's on a 30-second cooldown, it's really nice. So go with whatever you feel is best. Last but not least, the ultimate avatar. This makes you so you have increased damage by 20% and increases the amount of rage that you generate by 30%. While you're transformed, you are moved to movement impairing effects. So this is great. This is a big amount of damage adding on to a macro, which I will also show you towards the end of this video. Bloodbath is good. You know, it takes 30% of the damage you deal and applies it as an additional dot. So not only are you doing damage, you're converting that into a 30% bleed, in which case it would definitely help against rogues, but I think that's more of a PvE talent. Now let's move over to Glyphs. This glyph right here, Gag Order, is what is getting nerfed. It makes it so your pummel and heroic throw silence the target for 3 seconds. When patch 5.1 comes out, they are actually changing this so it does not work against enemy players. So basically, pick something else like Colossus Smash. It adds Sunder Armor. It's good to have weakened armor. It's more damage you're putting out. You could even do Hindering Strikes. If you end up picking up the Disrupting Shout, is that what it's called? Yeah, Disrupting Shout. If you pick that up, get Hindering Strikes because your Heroic Strike and Cleave reduce the target's movement speed by 50%. Now, it's not an AoE thing, so you have to be on them, but if you time your stuff right and you're good enough, you can actually get this one off. Moving on to the other important ones, I chose Bull Rush because 15 additional rage. I will show you on this target dummy exactly what I do and why I chose it, because you're going to see that I'll be able to get a lot of damage out. The last one is Death from Above. It reduces the cooldown on Heroic Leap by 15 seconds and increases its damage by 100%. The rest are all up to you. I chose Thunderstrike. Yeah, that one. This is what it does. It just basically lights up the ground and throws fucking storm bolts everywhere. Burning Anger sets you on fire when you're enraged. Blazing Trail, you'll see that in a minute. Whenever I charge, there's a trail of fire behind me. It's really neat. But pick whatever you want. Moving over to gear, let's start off with your stat priority. You want 3% hit and 6% expertise first before you start reforging into your best ultimate stat. Stat priority for your gear and reforging goes crit, then mastery, then haste. If you're lacking on hit or expertise, if you have a little extra expertise than you do hit, then reforge that to hit and just kind of work with it. So that way you can reforge your weaker stats into the better stats. Everything, if you get hit and expertise, everything else should be reforged to crit. If it's already got crit on the gear, you need to reforge haste to mastery. If it's already got mastery, leave it alone. Our mastery sucks, but it's better than what haste is. Now, for your damaging stats, or strength and PvP power, you obviously need strength in order to be able to do damage. You need PvP power in order to apply that damage to enemy players. So, for example, my PvP power is at 31.88%, so that's just increased damage I'm doing to that enemy player. PvP resilience is also a good thing to have, even though that your plate and you're supposed to absorb a lot more damage than a clothware, it's still good to have extra resilience. Now, for the gear itself, let's go over the gems. For your meta socket, you want the reverberating primal diamond, 216th strength, 3% critical effect. For all of your red sockets, you want the tense imperial amethyst. It gives you 80 strength and 160 PvP power. I chose this over going straight strength because I'm trying to blend the amount of strength I have with PvP power, so that way it'll amplify my damage output in arenas, battlegrounds, you know, basically what this guide's for. Let's see here. For the yellow sockets, I went with the perfect vivid alexandrite. It gives you 160 PvP power and 160 PvP resilience. I'm kind of mixing and matching. I could have went with critical strike and PvP power, or strength and PvP resilience, but I figured I'll just go with the PvP power and the PvP resilience because, I mean, you're just getting more fucking damage and more resilience from everything. So basically, have that, all your yellow sockets. For your blues, you want the Stormy River's Heart, adds 320 fucking PvP power. This is where all that PvP power is coming from. It is amazing. So if you got all that, this is what I reforged my gear to. For the helmet, I reforged Mastery into Critical Strike. For my necklace, I reforged Expertise into Hit. Remember I said earlier, if you have excess, reforge that into Hit, so that way you can, you know, maximize the amount of damaging stats you can do. For the shoulders, I reforged my Haste into Crit. You want the 200 Strength, 100 Critical Strike enchant for that, by the way. For the back, I went with the Haste Crit version, just because, fuck crit, need that. The other one had hit and mastery on it. I prefer to have more crit. My hit table is pretty fine with reforging haste in the hits, so I went with this one instead. Enchant that with 180 critical strike rating. For the chest, I actually have the Malevolent Gladiator plate chest piece, so it may be a little bit different if, say, for example, you have Dreadful. I've already started grinding my conquest. So basically, for that, I reforged haste into mastery. For bracers, I only have 50 critical strikes, which is the best thing I could really afford at the moment, but you want the 170 strength enchant for that. I left this alone, did not reforge it at all. For your gloves, you want the 170 strength enchant. I left hit and crit where it was. For your belt, I left everything as it was. You might also want to get the Living Steel Belt Buckle. By this point, it should be rather cheap in the auction house. So go ahead and grab yourself one, get that extra belt buckle socket so you can get an 80 strength, 160 PvP power gem in there. For your legs, this is also another Malevolent Gladiator piece. I have Anger Hide Leg Armor. That is the one I do know off the top of my head. It's 285 strength and 165 critical strike rating. I did not actually. I reforged Haste to Mastery. And for my boots, I reforged Haste to Mastery and chose Pandaren Step, which gives you 140 Mastery and a minor speed increase, which increases your run speed to 108%, which is, it's okay. This is like the only boot enchant we really have. Like I said, Mastery sucks, but it's better than enchanting it with Haste. You could also enchant this with Hit, but believe it or not, that sucky Mastery is also adding to your damage a little bit. For your rings, Hit into crit. No, Mastery into crit, sorry. You don't want to reforge your Hit. For your Cruelty ring, you want to reforge Haste in the Hit, and that'll pretty much give you everything you need. For your movement trinket, when you go to the honor vineyard, since they changed the way that the layout is on the top right, there will be a little drop down bar. You need to click it because it'll say warrior up top, and it'll give you your 3 specializations, which is arms, fury, and protection. And then it'll also say all classes. You need to click that because they actually have hidden a critical strike movement trinket. The one that I had prior to this was mastery, so I had to switch it out and found this one. You need to find that. When you do, you can thank me later. I didn't realize this at first, but it's a helpful thing for you. Dreadful Gladiators Badge of Victory. I mean, look at that PvP power. 1200, and it increases your strength by 4000 for 20 seconds. It's just, it's awesome. For your weapon, right now I'm still working on getting my weapon. Hopefully I'll have it next week. If I can't increase my cap in time, then I will have it the week after. But yeah, it comes with critical strike on it. If you are an orc, I recommend sticking with axes because you get an expertise bonus because of it. For the enchant on it, if you can't afford it, go with Windsong. It's pretty much the best. There's also one called Colossus, which has a proc on it to give you a 7500 damage bubble. I mean, that doesn't really add up to anything because, I mean, you got 300 plus thousand fucking health. What the hell is 7500 worth of absorb going to do? It's like something you'd use like level 50 or something. So get Windsong. The main one that you want is Dancing Steel. It increases your strength. It's basically what Landslide was, except it actually gives you a beneficial stat. So go with Dancing Steel if you can afford it. If not, just do Windsong. And that pretty much covers everything you're going to need to know for the gear. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. And if you're wondering, I had this transmog to the Vengeful Gladiators plate helm, or just plate set. You can find that at Area 52. It's in Outland. If you look at your map, just go to the very top, the purplish area. There's Area 52. They got a whole bunch of this stuff there, and you can actually buy it, whether or not you played during vanilla up till now or not. So next, let's talk for a minute about professions. I see a lot of debate about this, but the number one thing you want is blacksmithing. Why? Because if you notice, I have an extra socket in my gloves, and I added a socket to my bracers in order to amplify the amount of damage I'm capable of outputting. That is pretty much your bread and butter for professions. The secondary professions kind of fall down between engineering, enchanting, and jewel crafting. Like I said, I don't use the strength gems at all, so jewel crafting to me just seemed absolutely pointless and more work than it was beneficial. Enchanting would be good because you can enchant your rings with, I think it's 180 strength per ring, which is a constant boost to your damage. But I instead chose engineering because when I run rated battlegrounds just for shits and giggles with my friends, there is a thing that you can get called Goblin Glider. This thing is awesome. I mean, absolutely awesome. I'll even give you a little demonstration of what it does. So you just fly up anywhere, just jump off a cliff or whatever, and then you form one of these bad boys. And that's pretty much it. Just fucking hand glide all over the place. This is good if you're in Warsong Gulch or Twin Peaks or, you know, something like that. But yeah, it's really nice. Also, another thing is Synapse Springs. It's a glove tinker, as they call it. It's basically an enchant, but it doesn't overlap your enchant. So if you have the 170 strength enchant. You can also add synapse strings to it. And it takes whatever between intellect, agility, and strength, takes your most beneficial stat and increases it for 10 seconds. I use this in my quote-unquote one-shot macro. It's really nice. Also, another thing is, where is it? Spinal healing injector. Basically, put this on your belt. It heals you for 30,000 health. You can't use it unless you've actually been physically damaged. But that's just my personal opinion on professions. You can go with whatever you want, but if you want to maximize your damage, definitely choose blacksmithing and engineering. If you want to go enchanting or jewel crafting, that is totally on you. This is just, what I prefer. Now, let's look at this one-shot macro. If you're an orc and you have engineering, then this is everything you need. If you're not an orc and you don't have engineering, then ignore line 2 and line 4. Basically, what this is going to do is it uses slot 13, which is right here, where my Dreadful Gladiator's Badge of Victory is. Use that. Use the synapse springs, but you actually have to type it out as like the actual gear piece. You can't use synapse springs because it just doesn't work like that. So all I had to do is just shift left click and it puts it right in there. Next, you want to cast Berserker Rage, which is this fun little thing over here. Also keep that on your bar in case you get feared. It doesn't waste a trinket. Blood Fury, this is line 4. This is your racial. So if you, say for example, if you happen to be a troll warrior, whenever the speed increases, use that. Next is /cast Recklessness. After that is /cast Skullbanner. And after that is /cast Avatar. That's your one-shot macro, and I'm telling you, the amount of damage you do is absurd. Now, for other macros that may be helpful, if you choose not to go with Mass Spell Reflect, here is a Spell Reflection macro. For this, you want to do /equip slot, no spaces in equip slot, then you'd space 16, which is your main hand, 17 would be your offhand, and just put in whatever exactly word for word, capital letters where they need to be, spaces and all. Put that in your equip slot so you equip your sword and shield. If you don't have a shield, buy one. Make sure you right click it and equip it once if it's bind on equip, so that way the thing will actually work when you use this. Then you do /cast Spell Reflection and /cast Stop Casting. So that would be your Spell Reflection. The only trick with this is it doesn't just magically just say, hey, this is going to work for X amount of seconds. You actually have to cast this, be like, about to cast a Frostbolt at you, and then you pop this just seconds before it hits you, and bam, it goes back to them. The reason being you want to wait till after they cast it is because if they see that this is up, they're going to stop casting until it goes away, so it can't be cast back at them. Another survivability macro is Shield Wall. It's basically the exact same thing as Spell Reflection, except it's /cast Shield Wall, which I will show you real quick here. You have to press the button twice. But basically it does this. It reduces all damage taken by 40% for 12 seconds. If you're in arenas and your healer is getting just tons and tons of pressure from one DPS and you happen to be taking a lot of heat from another DPS, then you want to cast this to give your healer some breathing room, enough time for him to be able to heal himself and you. It reduces all the damage. It makes it easier for him so he doesn't go out of mana super quick. Another thing you want to have is Rallying Cry. Use this because it increases your maximum health by 20% for 10 seconds. It's like one of them oh shit buttons. Another thing for your healers, give them some breathing room. Die by the Sword. Use this I'd use this maybe when I was at about 50% health. It increases your parry chance by 100%, reduces damage taken by 20%. So if anybody's fighting you, head on, which you should try to get behind them, but in case you're face to face, most of your, if not all, attacks are just going to be parried. Some may hit you, but like magic attacks, for example, one does not simply parry a fucking fireball. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Another thing, demoralizing banner. It reduces the damage done by enemy players by 10%. It lasts 15 seconds, and you can also, watch this, you can intervene to it. So that's just a helpful thing. Work with that. It could be beneficial. Now, here is the grand poobah of all your damage. Pop up, recount. Oh, got LF4 stats in there. I'm going to show you what DPS is like with everything that I've just showed you. First, make sure you cast this, get that little bit of rage up, cast your one-shot macro, charge, look, there's the blazing speed thing, do that, shockwave, get overpower in there, another mortal strike, and do slam, deadly calm, just mortal strike the crap out of it, get a Colossus smash in there, get the weakened armor effect. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it got up to about 45,000 burst DPS. Wasn't really entirely focused because I'm trying to make a video for you wonderful people out there that possibly are watching this. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just use this guide. Let me know what you think. If you've got any questions or concerns or any tips to help improve my playing. Not that that really showcased anything, but look me up. My name is Mutilator. I'm on the server Thrall. If you happen to be on that server, feel free to send me a whisper, say what's up. Yeah, thank you guys very much for watching this, and I look forward to hearing from you. Later.